Okay, well, hello everyone. This is John Dupuy, and we're getting ready for this program, and I was off in the corner strumming on my guitar as my producer Pam, my wife also, was fixing these things up, and somebody said, well, why don't you play something for the podcast or this interview? And this is a song I wrote about a month ago, and I sang it at the Return to Christ, the Heart of Christ Consciousness thing in Boulder for the first time, and it's kind of personal. It's called Rain, Rain. Rain, rain, come again, cleanse my soul from its pain. Help me to smile again. Help me to remember when where can I find light? I'm lost here in the night, reaching out, and all I find is other hands touching my hand, reaching out, and we're lonely. Well, I was just a lonely guy, wondering how come everything has to die, wondering if there was any kind of way around it. Then one day the light broke through, and I remembered everything is you, and you are me, and me is we, and we're hanging all together now. Yeah, we're hanging all together now. Give me your promise, give me your hand, that you'll reach down deep and you will understand, and find the word inside of you, inside of me, the light, it'll shine through. And maybe you're a believer, and maybe you're not, but if you're gonna find it here, you've got to give it all you got, and it's in you, and it's in me. It's under a rock, it's in the trees, it's in the ocean waves, it's in the city streets, it's in the morning's dawn, it's in the shadows that we meet, and it's blowing in the wind, and it's singing from the stars above. It's really just everywhere, and the word is love. Ooh, it's just love. It's just love, 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 love. It's just love. Mm-hmm.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you, John.
Thank you very much,
That's really
John.
nice.
And welcome everybody to the second season of the Wisdom Factory.
The second season.
Yes, because we have done already the first season and it was so good and so well accepted that we decided to do a new season to bring wisdom into the world, and we have invited people who have knowledge and wisdom and whatever else to share with the world. And as you see, music is really a means also towards wisdom and a developmental line, which is really very, very important. There are studies about it, that we can grow very much by doing music.
Oh my
in
God,
music.
I never had a musical education.
We are in the introduction.
Oh, okay.
Be quiet. So today our title is Growing Wisdom with Modern Technologies, with music, but also with modern technologies, because our series is called Wisdom Technologies, and we gather together 10 people who will talk from different perspectives on technologies, on practices for growing wisdom in ourselves and altogether in the world. We are very happy if you go to our website, the Wisdom Factory DE. It should be
.de.
de.de,
Yes,
sure. And sign up for our newsletter, and you will also get a free gift with the next newsletter.
Free gift?
Look at that one. Yes, it is free. We have worked so hard, but it is free for
I want
everybody.
people to know that this is really something special.
It is something
Yes.
special. It is a wonderful ebook with photos and with videos inside. It is very great, and it will come to you when you sign up for our website.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we can dive into it. Yes, I think if you don't know us, we have to introduce ourselves. We are here, let's say, as the Cultural Association non-profit Paradiso Integrale in Italy.
And who are you?
And I am Heidi Hörnlein. It is written there.
Oh, yeah?
And you?
I'm Mark Davenport. That's written there, too.
And I am a transformational life coach, you can say. I'm also a singer, musician. It was very helpful in growing up to explore the own voice. And I'm a voice therapist. And then we together are retreat hosts, because we have here a big house where we have retreats, and we also invite you as guests just to come and stay with us and talk with us about.
Gorgeous.
Yeah,
and
about all these wonderful topics. And you are invited very much, John, and everybody who is watching now or later on YouTube. As you know, the show will be immediately recorded on YouTube, and you can find it there too. So, and now...
And say I'm a coach, and I have a background in education and things like that too. She didn't mention that.
I always forget him when I begin to talk. I want to say some words about John. I got to know John about 10 years ago, I think, in Germany, when we did the Integral Conference. And I got to know you in the moment when you were singing. I arrived and you were singing. And I liked it so much, and I thought, this is a special guy. And now we finally connect and bring out what you have to share with the world, a part of music and other things. And I would like to read a moment, a little bit an introduction to you, which we have also posted on the event page. There is a little bit more, and then there is the website you find under your lower third. You can find there more information. So John is the co-founder and the CEO of I Awake Technologies. This is the technology part. And he holds a master's degree in transpersonal psychology. He has been working personally and professionally with brainwave entrainment technology since 2004. And has developed a passion for the power and efficacy of brainwave entrainment technology to support the healing of mental health issues, deepen spiritual growth, and support an increase in attention and focus in business, academics, and athletics. And actually, I remember you giving workshops in this. You were gathering us. Everybody had a CD player, and you gave us the music, let's say. So I have a little bit an idea what it is, what you are doing. But I would like to ask you, what is it? Brain technologies?
Brain. We call it brain entrainment technology, and I think the earliest iteration was called binaural beats. And we, in our technology, we use that somewhat, but a lot more. I mean, that was like, you know, saying the internal combustion engine with the first Model Ts or something like that, and now we're driving, you know, Mercedes and Fiats, right, and other much more advanced technology, and so it's more powerful and works better, and it's smoother, and we just learned so much about it. And how I got into this, and it's a great subject for me, wisdom and technology, because that's what I do. Is get this technology out in the world, because it literally saved my life. And I've been using this technology. September 11th, 9/11, interestingly enough, 10 years ago is when I started doing this as a daily practice, and I've been doing it ever since. So it's something that I'm just selling, but I'm actually using myself. And so I am the chief practitioner here too, I think, because I really use it, and because I was so desperately depressed before. I was clinically depressed for years. My older brother committed suicide, so we're talking about severe depression. I wanted to die all the time, and because my older brother already did it, I didn't feel like it was an option for me, because suicide is just devastating for those who are left behind, and it certainly was. My parents didn't deserve it. His children, who kind of became my children, anyway, all that, I just couldn't do it. So I was like, God, please take me, but I won't do it myself. And through grace and good luck, I began to discover a way out. And I was working in the therapeutic wilderness industry. It's, over here we still have a lot of wilderness left, and we take people out on long journeys into the wilderness in order to kind of get their heads together and, you know, figure out their lives, and people that are having problems. And a lot of them are having problems with drugs and alcohol. And so I knew meditation was important. I'd been trying to engage in a practice off and on for many, many years. And then I discovered Ken Wilber's later work in the aqua model and blah, blah, and the integral model, and maybe I won't get into all that right now unless you want me to. But as a part of that, in an interview with Bill Harris and Ken Wilber around that time, they were talking about, Bill was talking about this holosync technology that he had, and how it would, listening to these sounds, would take people in automatically, I mean, down into deep meditative states that normally would take people many, many years to cultivate the capacity to achieve those states through meditation.
That's what I particularly liked about the technology. Yeah, automatic.
Indeed. Oh, and an idiot-proof meditation system, that might work for my students. Yeah. Notice I wasn't saying me yet. And so we did. So I started experimenting. Finally, after hemming and hawing and reading all the research, it wasn't just Bill's technology. There were other companies out there that I was using. I started experimenting with. And in the first week, I had this very powerful spiritual opening. You know, non-dual, class 5, bam, all the koans made sense. You know, the whole thing, I got it. And I was like, wow, I'm enlightened. It's been a week. That's pretty good. And, you know, and as Diane Hamilton says, it wasn't an enlightenment. It was an opening. I said, okay, it was an opening. That's true, because I'm still obviously me, right? But anyway, it was a big push in the right direction. And then about right after that, I started going through 9 months of releasing the trauma, layer after layer after layer, that had kept me depressed. And being a smart guy and trained as a therapist, I knew what my issues were. Okay, I knew exactly what had happened and why and all this stuff. But that's like reading the menu. Okay, trauma has to be released somatically, which I didn't know at the time, and that's why I was always frustrated when I tried to be a therapist for it, because we just didn't get it done. Something was missing in just the talking therapy realm, and so I started releasing this stuff. And because I'd had this big opening, it kind of gave me the faith or the confidence that it was going to be okay, that I could approach these scary things, and I still had this enlarged context that was hanging in there, and so it allowed me to do it intuitively. I knew I was getting well, and I thought, wow, I think I've discover something really great here. You know, that trauma has to be re-experienced in the body. The thoughts come up. It's like, oh, don't look at this. It's too much. It'll kill you. You'll get stuck. You deserved it. Whatever. Thank you. You bracket that and stay with the feelings. And then I found out that other people were saying the exact same thing, that for trauma, Peter Levine, one of the gurus on the planet right now as far as trauma and PTSD, he says that trauma and PTSD is a biological problem, not a psychological problem. which is the emphasis. It has to be done somatically. And I was going, my God, there it is. It's what I've been saying, or what I've been experiencing. So that led me to, I wrote the book Integral Recovery, which was using Ken Wilber's map and these practices that I was developing that work the body, the mind, the emotions, and the spirit. Ongoing, not just talking about practice, but actually doing stuff every day, working out, meditating, going inside, doing the contemplative work, facilitated by this technology that allows you to meditate like a master in a few minutes.
I would like to come into, you said you named the book you have written, Integral Recovery, and that is with your experience of drug addicts, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that?
What's that? Well, yeah, I had worked in, like I was saying, in the wilderness industry, and about 85% of the people that were showing up there were because of drugs and alcohol problems. And not all of them were addicts, but a majority of that 85% were. Some people just go through a heavy using time where you kind of use and party and it gets away, then you rein it in or quit and you go on with your life. That, by definition, my definition, and it was not addiction. Addiction is something that becomes progressively more powerful and you lose control, and you can see the disastrous effect it's having on your body, your mind, your relationships, your world, your finances, all that stuff, and you can't stop. And you keep doing it. And it's just a descent into hell. That is addiction. Hardcore, progressive, until it finally kills you or you end up in prison or something disastrous. So,
wait a minute. Before you tell us how that works, I want to acknowledge the listeners, the watchers we have, who has shown up with comments. There's Margarita Cristalodes. Hello, Margarita.
Hi, Margarita.
And there's Jeremy Murphy, and there's Cindy Fleming-Alton, who, by the way, has created the wonderful landing page, thewisdomfactory.de. This is her work. Then there is Marcus Dietele, and there should be other people who I see, but I don't know if they haven't written a comment yet. So please write a comment, and then we can even bring a comment up. I want to show you this one of Margarita. She says, I like this discussion. Idiot-proof meditation is really putting the attention to our conscious evolution.
And idiot-proof is very important for me, you know. So.
Yeah, and there's Jeremy who really liked what you did.
Musical greetings, y'all.
Here it is. Yeah. Musical greetings.
Love the musical start to the show. Can we embed music into everything?
Yeah. Wow, yes. Your lips to God's ears. Yeah, it's big.
Right. Yeah.
It's part of my practice too. If I would, I'm gonna do that. I'll just show you here next to my desk here. Oh my God. It's guitars and more guitars and amplifiers and stuff. So when I'm working, actually it's not my home, it's my parents' home. That's another part of the story. But whenever I have a minute, I just work on playing the guitar. And if you want to get good at anything, whether it's meditation or playing tennis or playing the guitar or being a writer or a speaker, what does it take? Practice. You got to put in dedicated time and keep it up and push yourself to those beyond your success limits, to your failure limit, not to your fall apart, but just beyond your comfort zone on an ongoing basis. And boy, the brain and the body and the system reorganizes, and you'd be amazing how good you can get very quickly. And that's the same kind of dedication and practice that we bring to addiction. You want to get better? I mean, and I ask my students, how much time and energy did you put into using and taking drugs and alcohol? 24/7, all the time, in the latter stages.
Yes, and we got good at it too.
Yeah, yes. And so in the beginning, you're going to have to take the same kind of energy to get well, but it's worth it, you know. And the progress is inspiring, and it happens very quickly, but you got to work hard.
Mark has some experience in this. He had such past life, and he became an counselor too, you know. But now it's a long time ago. I didn't know him then. I don't know if I would have liked him.
No, I don't think you would have.
You're right. No women would ever talk to us if they knew our past, right? But anyway, so getting back to the original subject here, man, we're like, is wisdom and technology. So what I found, what I discovered in my practice, and I was pretty well versed in the literature of the mystics and spiritual because transpersonal psychology was my field. And, you know, one time somebody asked Pam what your her spiritual practice was, and I said it's collecting books on spirituality, which we thought was really funny at the time, and that was kind of me too. So I'd read a lot of books, I knew about it, and I'd had some mystical experiences, that would come and go when I was growing up and as a child, even young man, but they would come and they'd go, and then I would just be, like taking like the old thing about, man, I took the mushrooms in Oaxaca in '68, dude, it was so cool, it was like saw God and everything. Well, that was '68, that's great, but what's going on now? Well, not so much. So that's the difference between states are just that temporarily come and go, then they dissipate and go away. You have to learn to work with that, but what we're really looking for is stage development, stabilizing that understanding of spirituality, God, experience, a unitive, non-dual experience, all that. So I started doing this meditation. I had this big opening, and then of course I went through months and months of releasing this stuff with the intuitive knowledge of this is finally getting at the roots of it. I'm getting well. And I meditate, when I'm on the road traveling. I do quite a bit, and my wife would see me meditating, with my headphones on, sitting up in bed, and just watch me just like shaking, all this pain coming out of my body. It's just this agony, but it was releasing, it was transmuting. And if you keep this stuff in the unconscious, stuck away, you get sick. You get physical illnesses, all kinds of somatic things, psychological, depression, cravings, weird stuff, bad stuff. And so you really have to release it, and it has to come out somatically. But under that, under the pain and under the darkness and under the trauma that we relax into in our meditation, and greatly facilitated by these meditation tracks, we can tap into that emptiness and that spaciousness. But it's not just emptiness, it's also a source of understanding and wisdom. And that's where the wisdom voice begins to emerge. So you have to kind of sit through this, and meditation, and one of the biggest detriments to meditation is people, I call it the meditation superego. This is what meditation's supposed to be like. I got an empty mind, everything's peaceful, and I'm just sitting there, right? Well, yeah, that's nice, and it does happen sometimes, but more times than not, you're struggling with your mind, your thoughts, things come up, this and that and the other. And if you just say, well, this sucks, and you give up at that point, that's part of the practice. Going through all that stuff with awareness, with mindfulness. And I talk about, I was being interviewed for another thing recently, and they were talking about beyond mindfulness, and I would say, well, there's inner mindfulness too, because a lot of people talk about, you feel your butt on the cushion or my hands on the chair, the fan, the wind in my face, just being aware of everything present. But it's also the inner awareness of the different voices and the different things and the subtle energies and all that's going on. And I got a bunch of voices. I got my, my angry teenager. I got my needy child. I got my, I don't know, intellectual. I got this, that, and the other. But there's also a wisdom place. And I can recognize that voice now because I practice with it. And I was listening to a talk by Helen Palmer, one of my teachers, an Enneagram teacher, and she said, well, how do you know if it's the wisdom voice or spirit or God or however you want to language that, this deeper knowing, or it's just one of your head trips or your other personalities? And she said the witness can discriminate. Okay, the observer self that comes online very quickly, interestingly enough, with this type of meditation can actually go, oh, well, that's this voice, that voice, but this is the wisdom voice, and that's mindfulness in an interior sense. And so now my important decisions in life, I can kind of make, whether I want to eat rice or potatoes for dinner or something like that without, going into channeling Ramtha or something. But when it comes to the deeper stuff, I have to sit and have to kind of go through these different layers of myself and tap in when I finally get more spacious, and then it's like, okay, there it is. And I normally use a version of centering meditation, which comes from kind of an esoteric Christian background. It sans a lot of the theology behind it. I just focus on my heart and surrender, welcome divinity or spirit, higher self, essential self, however you want to say that, God. And then I just wait. And if I have a question, I just hold it out there. And one of my prayers is, Spirit, God, Goddess, is there anything I'm supposed to be learning, seeing, releasing, doing? and please speak clearly because I'm really thick-skulled, and if it's subtle, I might miss it. So, you know, it's just like, don't be too subtle now, just kind of let me know. And I'll sit with that, and then when that understanding emerges, you know, or then it's okay, good. And right now I'm here in Texas at my parents' house, and they're both entering the last phase of their life, okay? They're not going to be around too much longer. And they're downstairs. And so I've been going through some stuff, you know, a lot of grief and a lot of, you know, just all the stuff's coming up. And I sit in my prayer and my meditation, and I sit with my loss and my pain and, you know, my powerlessness. You know, I can't reverse aging. I can't do that, and go through my stuff, and then I hang out and wait for that place of, you know, love. And when recently in Boulder, Ken Wilber was giving a talk, and he said compassion. Compassion is when you kind of feel sorry for somebody, but love is when you just love them. You just delight in them.
There's a difference.
That's really smart. No wonder they call him Ken Wilber. No, but you know, so I just really realized that I have all this love for my parents. It's not because I'm just feeling compassion about them getting old and losing their, you know, capacities and this stuff, getting ready to lay their bodies down, but I feel just delight. I really adore them, and they were very, very good parents. So
okay, let us bring up a comment from Margarita. She says, do you want to read it?
Sure. Well, some people probably want to call you from the past. Doesn't it depend on what was in your past, John? Oh, superego. I have met people like that. I think I was one way back. Now I know better, because karma comes back in the next breath in. Yeah.
nice.
Nice.
It was a little bit from before. Oops. What I would like to ask you now, the title is Wisdom Technologies, and you definitely have a technology, and you have told us now your story and what is going on for you. You have used this technology for yourself, but could you tell the people what exactly it is, what this technology is? Because they, even binaural beats or binaural beats, maybe people don't know what that is. So would you like to say that?
Yeah. Well, early on, back in the 70s, neuroscientists found out that if you put, say, 100 beats or hertz in this ear using stereo headphones and 110 in this ear, that the brain kind of didn't know how to deal with that discrepancy, and in the mid part of the brain it would create a phantom wave of 5 hertz, which is kind of, you know, theta, getting down a pretty low brainwave meditative states. So they said by, you know, arranging these beats, you can actually entrain the brain when the brain splits the difference between these 2 hertz to whatever brain waves you want. And so in the beginning, you'd listen to these things, bada, 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 kind of annoying, and then they started going bada, 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 with rain on top of it, and, you know. And anyway, so it's gotten much more sophisticated, and there's a lot more different types of technology that are now intertwined that I can't really have time to go into, subtle energy things and different things that are going on. And the people that are creating for us now are not just using the beats, but they're using rhythms and vibrations in the music itself that does the entraining. So it's really gone a long way, and it makes the entrainment more powerful. It makes it more subtle, more complete, and makes the releasing oftentimes easier and less jarring. You know, as if you're sitting on a bunch of trauma and it all starts coming up and you don't know what's going on, you can go, oh my God, this is horrible. Well, actually, you're getting well if you can hold it in spaciousness. So these technologies, they really do that. They in my case, saved my life because it helped me to release a trauma that was keeping me suicidally depressed. It opens up these spiritual or these inner spaces that the mystics have known and explored, and now that is available to all of us quite simply if we just use this stuff. So it's really democratizing the process of waking up for a lot of us. And it used to be every generation several people would wake up, then we'd all kind of follow in their coattails.
Yeah.
Say something, Mark?
Yeah, I'm asking a question for the geeky people who might be watching and be attracted by all this technology we are presenting. Just what does this do to the brain? I have a real good idea what it does to the mind in a way, but physically, what happens to the brain?
Well, you know, an integral thing, you know, we say there are exteriors and there's interiors. And the exterior in this case is the human brain, the physical body. So there's so much technology now where we can observe what's going on in the body and brain scans and know what neurochemicals are in play and what parts of the brains are firing. So they can see people in meditation. And for example, well, I'll get back to your original question. It's doing a lot of things. One of the things that we know that this technology does, it harmonizes the left and right hemispheres of the brain. And some neuroscientists say we have two brains, a left brain and a right brain. And the right brain tends to be, or the left brain tends to be more analytical, you know, linear, figuring things out, blah, blah, getting things done. And the right brain is more interior, more intuitive, you might even say feminine. And so and most of us are this or that, you know, we're dominant on either side. But with this meditation, actually, you get to have your cake and eat it too, as it were. You have that brilliant analytical, get it done mind that comes online, but with the expanding intuitive understanding. So that's very important. There's new neural pathways that are created. They just did dissected Einstein's brain finally, and they found out that he had his connective tissue between the two hemispheres was super thick and fat, you know. And what they accounted for that, by the way, getting back to music, he was a passionate violinist. Not many people know that, and that is the part of the brain that, you know, when I'm playing, I play a lot of blues, electric lead, you know, and this stuff and this flow states that happen, it's really changing the brain. So that's also happening in this meditation technique. You're getting a thicker neocortex. Yes, Heidi.
There is another comment I want to bring up from Dave Moore. He says,
using both sides of the brain, the logical and the rhythmical sides together in a double induction meditation or hypnosis session will undoubtedly reap far better results and benefits for the client.
Yeah. You know, and the nice thing about it, and of course there's also one last thing, there is an increase in neurochemicals, positive neurochemicals, and there's a decrease in some of the negative, like CRF and cortisol, that are associated with stress, depression, relapse, etc. So the brain is just functioning at a higher level, and that's what's going physically. What that feels interiorly is you get more creative, you get more spiritually connected, your mind functions at a higher level, you have more of these vision logic experiences, it's higher level of understanding, you're generally happier, and you're much more resilient to stress, which in my case saved my life, and in the case of addicts, it's usually stress that is a precursor to relapse. So.
And Cindy says binaural beats, I can never pronounce that, also great for focus and concentration. Yeah, we didn't say that yet.
And I'm an author, and getting ready to start my second book. And when I write, I'll put on the headphones and listen to certain tracks that really get me focused and concentrating. And boy, since I've been doing this for 10 years, I've never had that writer's block. I've never had that, or maybe just very temporarily, but I just blow through it so quickly. I mean, it just seems that the creative flow, whether it's in writing or speaking or in playing music and writing songs, is just, I have access to it now. And it's because I've worked really hard at it. Let me emphasize that too. These are not just miracle things. They are miracle things, quite frankly, but you have to use the miracle, and it takes a lot of hard work. And then you begin to become the best version of yourself. And it's not just the meditation. I have to exercise and work out and do nutrition and really have an integral program so that I'm able to give my gifts to the world. And once you get past the early stages of your own healing and stuff, that what becomes really one of the things that becomes important is your vocation. What are you here to give? What are your unique gifts? What are your callings? And when we get into that place in our lives where we're really doing what we were born to do, we know it right in there. It's like it's one of the greatest fulfillments of being a human being. It's like, okay, I'm the little self is aligned with the big self, God self, if you will, and I'm playing my part in this big symphony of creation and evolution, and man, that is just bliss, and it's very, very beautiful.
Exactly, and I think this is what so many of us are struggling to find out, what is the real calling, And thinking about myself, I mean, now looking backward, I see that all the steps I did go towards it. But sort of the real calling I have now, because I want to bring these things into the world. And you were before telling us what we will be doing in this series, because you talked about somatic healing.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
We will have next week Lawrence Gold, and he will present us his Gold Key release about his way of seeing somatics, which is much more than the body. So I think you will understand each other very, very well. Mm-hmm. And about the many voices which are talking and how to discover which one is the right one, I will have a section in about 5 weeks or something, or 4 weeks, and we will cover many of these things which came up today, and it's really, thank you very much.
Yeah, I'd like to underline that somatic aspect, because it was great to hear you emphasize that it's not enough just to talk about things, it's not enough just to feel things. This is actually a body process, and when these changes happen to you, your body changes, and you become it's like reinvigoration. It's like wiping out history in a way.
And there seems to be a lot of energy that is really locked up in keeping these things in the unconscious. So when you actually allow the stuff finally to come up, they percolate, they express themselves somatically, but then there's a tremendous energy release. So and try to keep all these, these monsters in the basement out of awareness, or, you can split it off, you can become dissociated, or you can try to numb it out with alcohol and drugs, or you can try to project it on other people and blame everybody for your interior pain, or you can develop diseases. There's different ways of doing it, but none of it's good. So you really have to let it out. And when this stuff comes up, and then it's like there's a new spaciousness, but now there's more energy, and there's available for being creative, for being spiritual, for being happy, for doing whatever you need to do or you're called to do in your life.
That's all the energy you used before to suppress the things and keep them in the pavement. So you can use it now in a better way.
It's almost an alchemical process of this base metal, this base painful stuff that we're so afraid to confront and face and experience, and in experiencing and being totally present with it, we transmute it into the gold of our more evolved, more beautiful, more creative, more awake selves.
It is alchemy, yes. Mm-hmm.
So wonderful. We had your success story, and what would you suggest to people, who have, first of all, maybe never heard of it, or who have heard of it but have a little bit fear? I remember 10 years ago I thought, oh, technology, I was in the meditation and do everything by natural ways, and I was really a little bit, ooh. What could you say? What is the real benefit to overcome these blocks and to allow oneself to go into this pathway? And maybe if they fear to go into dramas in the release process, as you described, there are coaches and therapists who can help, So would you like to give a little bit?
Yeah, I wrote a blog one time. It's like, the Buddha didn't need no stinking holosync. All he needed to do was to be really tough and a Bodhi tree. Worked for him. I said, well, not all of us have Bodhi trees. But I kind of look at it as kind of technological grace. And we are really entering into crunch time as a species on the planet. There's so many of us, many more of us than were in Buddha's day or Christ's day. And we have such powerful technology, and we have all these different, conflicts all over the world, developmental. We could get into that. So we really need a way for more of us to wake up more quickly and more efficiently. And most of us don't have enough time or even access to 20 years of going to a monastery, and having somebody whacking you with a cane every time your mind gets distracted or whatever that process is. And it's just not working. And, I've been to a lot of monasteries, a number anyway, and we have a lot of projections of monastery, everybody's in line, it's not really going on in monasteries so much anymore either, whether we're talking Buddhist or Christian. So something's got to give. We need to wake up, and we need to show up, and we need to grow up. So at the time when our technologies and our impact on the human world and the natural world is so severe, well, thank God we're having a technology that's also kind of coming out of the creative mind of human beings that can actually help evolve us very quickly and very holistically, or very intricately, because it's not just enough to evolve or heal your mind if you haven't done your emotions, because then you have all these weird shadow things that are controlling everything.
Oh.
Goddamn disaster, if I may say so. So, yeah, that's the idea. It makes it more democratic, it makes it more sufficient, and it's not just a spiritual realization which comes and goes, but it really does the work emotionally also and improves the function of our brain. And about 5 years ago, I read that a neuroscientist saying that we've learned more in the last 5 years about the human brain than the last 5,000, preceding 5,000. So that was 5 years ago when he said that. So how much more now? We're really learning how to change the brain. Of course, neuroplasticity is a big word. You know, meditation's all over the place now. But this is really a very efficient and quicker way to get there more quickly, so we can wake up and accomplish more in our lives, and not only heal or have this spiritual realization, but a complete realization, so that we don't a partial spiritual realization. And the old myth is, if I just have this non-dual realization, then I'll be groovy and everything will be cool and I'll know everything. Well, we have teachers that do that all the time, and they haven't done their ego and their shadow work, and they hadn't dealt with that structure, so that realization gets channeled through their kind of yucky, screwed up ego, which they deny is real, and it just comes out a disaster. You have cults, and they abuse people financially, sexually, power games.
We know that now, and thanks to integral theory, we know that when you focus only on one side, it's not good. If you focus only on meditation,
not enough.
Real life is there too. If you focus only on real life, I mean, not the obvious outside reality, it's not good either, because we need
or just therapy. You can learn a lot of things about the ego and stuff, but if you don't have the transcendent domain, you're like a dog chasing its tail. And then if you just have, non-duality and all this stuff, well, then you don't have a vehicle that can hold it, and all kinds of screwy things happen. So we're talking about wisdom and technology, and I really don't like cults, because I was in one when I was a teenager. Those, it's a long story, but I really love the fact that if you're willing to do the work and do the technology, and get some counseling and get a spiritual teacher with a small t, and possibly to inspire you and let you know how to do it, you can really reach that inner wisdom, and that's the inner guru, folks. And once you've really cultivated a stabilized connection with that wisdom, you don't need to go see Swami, what's his name, or this guy or that guy, and give him all your money and stay in the ashram and go through that disaster. And sometimes it's been okay, but in the majority of the cases I've seen, it's been really problematic, to say the least. So I think this is a much safer and more effective and more efficient way, and more of us can get deeper more quickly without all the problems that generations earlier didn't have this kind of technology. So it's evolutionary grace. It's coming online right now, and we really should take advantage of it.
Absolutely, and it's also more affordable, I mean, talking about the technology, you are offering that, and you have also offered to a little bit sponsor our series here, and that's why I have the bit.ly link for your product page on our upper third. It's not a lower third, it's the upper third, and I invite people to go there and see what he is offering. And I don't know, where do they get the guidance with which to begin? I think this is on the other website, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we got two websites. We got integralrecovery.com. That'll take you to iawaketechnologies.com, or iawake will take you to the other. So for me, the whole integral recovery thing and the iAwake thing, actually, it's a Venn diagram. They intersect largely, and I'm actually starting to write the next book, and that book. Well, I'm actually starting a podcast, and I've got this week it'll be 5 recordings. We haven't released it on iTunes or anything, but we'll do that after this week. But the idea is called The Hope, H-O-P-E, Die Hoffnung, right? And the tagline is meditation, transformation, recovery, and integral practice in the 21st century. So what I learned in the whole integral recovery gig is that what I was practicing myself and teaching my addicts was actually appropriate for everybody. Okay,
sure.
We all have our issues. We're not all alcoholics or drug addicts, but man, we all fall asleep. We've got depressions. We've got our obsessions. We have our ways. We've forgotten who and what we are. We've lost our way. We become cynical. There's all kinds of issues that we need to heal from, and integral ongoing practice is what gets us there, and it's difficult. And I was figuring out this week, how are we doing on time? Okay, I figured out this week, or last week, but, you know, I spend about 40 minutes in the gym every day, you know, rigorous. I can get it done in 30 minutes. And last week I was meditating about 40 minutes a day using this product we have, Deep Delta, it's called, and it's a wonderful drive. It's only 40 minutes long, and I was going, wow. So I'm basically spending about as much time working my exterior body as I am my inner life, and that's a really good balance. And so so say you got to practice about 2 hours a day. Figure it out. You know, take off 20 minutes here or there, whatever, and just do that ongoing for the rest of your life. And do it intelligently with the right techniques, the right technology. Learn about it. Work hard. Man, you're going to evolve so much more quicker. You're going to have so much more ability, so much more wisdom, so much more happiness, so much more compassion, capacity to hold pain and go through stuff and come back strong. And, you know, and well, yeah, but it's 2 hours a day. Okay, stay asleep for another few lifetimes if you want, but you know, do the work. And in a conversation with Ken Wilber, he said. Somebody said, well, isn't this all very elitist, you know, different levels? And so he said, yeah, it is elitism, but it's an elitism to which everyone is invited, okay, which I love. And that's so it's not just we're all the same. Well, yeah, but some of us are achieving more. Why? Because some of us are working harder, maybe. So it's not a quick fix. It's a lifetime commitment of waking up, showing up, growing up, and giving your gifts and dealing with it is to be a human being on the planet right now, and what that means at the exterior levels and at the deepest levels of our understanding.
With other words, become wise.
Become
you
wise.
know?
Yeah. Without wisdom, we're just again, it's a dog chasing its tail, and it just leads us to cynicism, which is a cop out in my beliefs. Yeah, and wisdom is a really good word, and one very smart man said one time, my religion is wisdom, and I can't remember who said it, but yes, I completely concur.
But I wanted to tell you that at a certain moment, I think I was about 35, and it's all messed up, you know, everything. I just arrived in Italy, and none of my ideas of how life would go came true, and I decided I want to become a wise woman. And now I'm arriving at the moment where I think, maybe I'm getting it to the door, you know, and this is wonderful. It's what you are talking about. You need to have an intention and follow up to this intention. Doesn't mean in the German way, you know, but have a practice.
Well, there's a little bit of there, yeah. We could learn something from
not as rigid as we normally do.
I've met her family. I know.
I had to learn to let go a little bit and not be so rigid, you know, and also allow to change the practices. And you find that it's not the right one, or you have 20 years, you sit on the cushion, and you are still, you know, I don't know.
An asshole.
There might be missing something.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you have to, and you initiate the practice, and then the practice initiates you. In other words, you do the practice, then the practice begins to inform you. So there is a wisdom, there is a guidance there. And, you know, when people start out, you know, using iWake stuff, you know, I give them some really kind of strict programs to do. But then I say, you know, after 6 months or a year, you're going to start intuitively knowing what time to practice, how long to practice. Oh, today I need to do 2 hours, you know, or this, you know, you change it around, and it just begins to be a living form thing. And I was reading, what was it? The Cloud of Unknowing. The Cloud of Unknowing, written by a 13th century German anonymous mystic, and he was saying that in this interior space, you begin to find the ways to access God. That the wisdom itself of the practice of the interior looking begins to inform you. And I've really found that my practice is informed by my practice, and I begin to, and then I'll find out, oh, somebody's already doing this practice. I didn't invent it, but I discovered the discipline in an interior way. So it's all there. The wisdom can instruct you on how to do this.
So we are really at the end of our session, and it's very nice, very instructive to hear your talk and your passion. You know, you can take us everything with you, everybody with you, and
And I didn't have to ask too many dumb questions
No,
because
you didn't.
You answered them all before they came out of my mouth. Yeah.
You were gonna say you said so many dumb things I didn't have to.
No.
What came out is that is a very valid practice to undertake these technologies. And please use my bit.ly link when you buy something, so we get a little bit remuneration for our work, because we are doing this because of passion. We really want to bring out these practices, these ways of how to say, to open the mind to some, you know, I don't know how to say that, but we feel the same urge to change the world, to help to change the world, but the changing the world is changing ourselves first, and that's why we need these personal practices and these understandings from a more open perspective to really get it, and not with a good intention do the exactly wrong thing, which so many people do, you know. And it's just it's a shame, because we have only a certain amount of energy, and we should use it in a wise way to do what we are here to do.
And it is a great privilege to be able to talk to people like you, John, and help spread the word. This is
wonderful.
This fills our heart to be able to do this.
I know, and I love your technology here, the Google Hangout thing.
I'm so in love with it.
It's great.
It is wonderful. I want to bring the integral people to Google Hangouts, and
some integral people are a little slow about some things, you know.
Well, I think that's the truth.
They are only people like everybody else.
Yeah. I thought they would be over that being human part.
Yeah, no. We're all there, and
so people who are listening, don't be afraid of the word integral. We are only humans, even if somebody seems to be better. But not. We might do, by the practice, as John said, we might have reached a broader understanding. And I mean, we are somewhere there. We are not on the up here, you know.
No, actually,
but it is a constant development. And by doing these interviews, by doing these shows, by interacting with people, we are learning and understanding all the time more. And this is a part of our practice, I could say.
And we are very much down here on the ground, not just up there in the air.
And that's part of the the flow state that goes on, when you're teaching or doing what you're supposed to do, when the flow state goes away, you're just, you're just yourself, you're bumbling around, stubbing your toe and cursing in public and oops, I mean, we're just human, But when we get in these states, that practice and work help us to get, then it gets pretty magical and very, very beautiful also. So it's both, it's being very grounded, very human.
I would like to close out the official part. If you have your guitar, you can give us an outro, musical outro. But I want to thank everybody, the watchers. I also saw Monica was here, and I don't know, probably other people. I don't have it now on my radar. Thank you also for your comments. It's very nice to see the engagement and to your ideas. And please check out John, buy his products, and go to our website, the wisdomfactory.de, and you will get the free gift. And enjoy the last music.
See y'all.
Unfortunately, it doesn't work. We cannot be synchron. Otherwise, I would sing with you, but it will be a disaster for who listens. Oh, goodbye, everybody. And next week, come to the somatic practices, the Gold Key Release with Lawrence Gold. Okay, see you then. Bye-bye.